Let's practice adding some fractions. We have a fraction plus fraction. In order to add fractions, the bottoms have to be the same. The denominators have to be the same. So one way of figuring out the same denominator is to multiply these numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. So let's choose a number 6. So this is equals to something over 6 plus something over 6. And so what we have here is 3 times what becomes 6. This is where I recommend that you use your fingers. 3 times 2 is 6. So now remember your fingers, 2. 2 times the top 2 is 4. It's very easy for students to get confused with this, so please practice. 2 times 3 is 6, so remember 3. Now 3 times 1 is 3. And now that the bottoms are the same, and you have a plus sign here, you simply add. 4 plus 3 is going to be 7. And here's our final answer. So as you can see, adding fractions is more difficult than multiplying fractions because you actually have to make the bottoms the same. You need to find a common denominator. Okay, so let's introduce one more question here quickly. Let's say what's 20 over 30 plus, we'll just say 10 over 60. Okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. Okay, so number 2. Let's focus on number 2 here. So we have 5 and 4 here, and we need to find a common denominator. You could multiply them, or ideally we'd find something called the LCM, the least common multiple. 5 times 4 is 20. But multiplying generally works. So 20 is a number that 5 fits into and 4 fits into as well. 5 times what is 20? 5 times 4. 4 times the top 3 is 12. 4 times what is 20? It's going to be 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So 5, the entire 5, all 5 fingers, times 2 is 10. So what we have here is we have 12 plus 10. It's going to be 22 over 20. And of course you can simplify any time. So you can divide top and bottom by 2. Same thing as 11 over 10. And there's our final answer. Okay, so now let's attack number 3. So we have 2.5, we have a mixed fraction plus 3/4, improper fraction. And we're going to convert this mixed fraction into something over something. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So 5 over 2 plus 3 over 4. And we want the bottoms to be the same. Now if you really want, you could multiply them and you make the bottoms both 8, but really you don't have to choose 8. You can find something smaller, something lesser. The least common multiple would be a 4, because 4 is a number that both 2 and 4 fits into. 2 times what is 4? 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times the top 5 is going to be 10. And you can see that the 4 is the bottom, so the top doesn't change at all. It remains a 3. 10 plus 3 is 13, and we're done. So this kind of question is pretty repetitive. You might want to find a worksheet. Just Google adding fractions worksheet. Okay, number 4. How do we attack this one here? We need to find the common denominator. Now, what about this 2? Remember, the number 2 is the same thing as 2 divided by 1, which is itself 2. Let's make the bottoms 4. So something over 4 plus something over 4 plus something over 4. The 4 is on the bottom, so the top doesn't change here. The bottom here, 1 times 4 is 4, so we're multiplying by 4. 4 times the top, 2, is going to be 8. And here we're multiplying by 2, so 2 times 1 is going to be 2. So no matter how many terms there are, in this case there's 3 terms, the bottom is going to be a 4. And now we can just simply add the tops. 5 plus 8 is going to be 13, plus 2 is going to be 15. And so there's our final answer. Now this last question we stuck on just because I want you to be intelligently lazy. Now you could try to multiply 30 times 60, which would be a huge number. That could work, but it's always a good idea to simplify. So let's do that. 20 over 30, divide top and bottom by 10, becomes 2/3 plus, and then you can knock off the zeros. This is plus 1 over 6. So let's make the denominator, common denominator, a 6. This right side doesn't change. 3 times 2 is going to be 6, so 2 times 2 is going to be 4. So now we have a common combined single term here as our final answer, and 4 plus 1 is going to be 5. And there's our final answer. Great job.